starting close to home with a watch customized by pilots, for pilots, a watch that will never make it to the open market. Behold the special bespoke version of the Christopher Ward C60 Trident GMT, designed by pilots at American Airlines. This is Pilot Watch Gouge, where function in the cockpit meets obsession on our wrists. Just honest intel for pilots and watch nerds alike. This channel is dedicated to exploring the fascinating intersection between aerospace and watches. We'll dig deep into pilot watches, both vintage and modern, and sometimes the stories no one else is telling. Some pilots collect type ratings, others collect watches, and some do both. There is a watch enthusiast group among the pilots at American Airlines, a quiet collective of aviators who also share a love of watches. They've done private group buys before, custom timepieces sometimes only known to those flying the line. But this time, they went to Christopher Ward, the British luxury watch brand known for the Trident series. Their mission, create a truly bespoke pilot's watch. Not sold to the public, not advertised, and definitely not waiting for you in the boutique window at Heathrow Terminal 5. Here's the story. They wanted a GMT they could actually wear on the line. Something more than just another desk diver and less tragic than blowing a month's pay on a Rolex. But here's the clever part. They avoided the legal mumbo-jumbo by ditching the official airline logos. Here's why that matters. Any use of the American Airlines logo, fonts, or branding would have required lengthy legal approval from the airline's corporate office, a slow and uncertain process. While the classic logo featuring the eagle would have looked great, it would have made getting the watches take much longer. Instead, they chose a universal symbol of the profession itself, their pilot wings. Clean, simple, recognizable across the world, and no lawyers required. During the design phase of the project, there was talk of the wings being made of metal and applied to the dial, but ultimately printing the wings on the dial won out. Pilots had their choice of the wings of a first officer, a captain, or a line check airman when ordering their watch. The pilot wings are prominent at the 12 o'clock position, and you'll find the twin flags Christopher Ward logo, representing Britain and Switzerland, at the 9 o'clock. In the end, 75 of these watches were made. 7 months passed from order to shipment, a timeline nearly threatened by the potential for wildly fluctuating tariffs between the UK and US at the time. But the watches made it. Now let's talk specs. The C60 Trident GMT is a proper tool watch. With a reasonable 40mm dial, a 47mm lug-to-lug, and a thickness of 12.9 millimeters. It sits low enough to clear a uniform jacket cuff, but high enough to remind you it's not a fashion watch. Not huge, not tiny, like most FO paychecks. If that Omega on that jump-seater's wrist is a G-Wagon, this is more like a Defender 90. Powering it all, the Sellita SW330-2, a rock-solid Swiss GMT automatic movement. It's found in some Breitling and Shin models too. This is a collar-style GMT, meaning the 24-hour hand is adjustable, not the local hour hand. That makes them great for tracking a second time zone, offering independent setting of the GMT hand with the crown in the third position. Purists might rather see a true traveler-style GMT, but that's a matter of personal preference. Some find these not as intuitive for frequent flyers as a true GMT, like the movements found in more expensive Rolex or Tudor watches. Importantly, the second hand supports hacking. It's proven, it's reliable. As well as being very accurate, it has a power reserve of up to 56 hours. Crews can take the watch off for a couple of days, and it'll still be ticking when they go back to work. If you're not familiar, the GMT Complication was first made popular by pilots at the legendary Pan Am Airlines when they collaborated with Rolex to create the GMT Master in 1954. Issued to select crews, the watch Complication allowed pilots to set a home time zone using the fourth GMT hand and a 24-hour bezel while adjusting the regular time to their current location. The rotating bezel, made from non-scratch ceramic, is split into contrasting day and night sections, featuring a sandblasted finish and raised polished numbers. Smooth, solid, and with an excellent click feel. Reviewers frequently note that the click feel and sound is unusually crisp. Think Lego bricks snapping into place. On the dial, the hour indexes are filled with superluminova, and the pilot wings are printed with a subtle brushed finish. The lume is typically called strong, but not Seiko bright, which is fine for a pilot who's staring at cockpit screens anyway. Not scuba diving at midnight. There's a sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating. The watch is rated to 300 meters of water resistance, which is helpful in case of ditching, but also great for the pool at the crew hotel. This makes it one of the few automatic watches at this price that can genuinely serve as both a dive watch and a travel watch. Christopher Ward pioneered the light catcher case, which uses sculpted multi-angled case flanks to create a thinner profile on the wrist. CW didn't just copy off-the-shelf cases like many microbrands do. The light catcher case was custom designed and engineered to look slimmer than it is. People often compare its comfort and finishing to Omega or IWC cases, costing 5 times more. This is slimmer, way more water-resistant, and more readily available than, say, a Rolex Explorer 2. The solid case backs on these are custom engraved, sporting the American flag, which of course is pretty on-brand. Look closely, and you also find the pilot's name and date of hire engraved on the back. The C60 Trident GMTs are available on the sporty Aquaflex rubber strap, the classic Bader bracelet or jewelry-like consort bracelet, all with a handy quick-release system. Christopher Ward probably didn't plan to make watches for airline pilots stuck in Newark overnight, but here we are. Say Christopher Ward, and half the crowd says, "Who?" The other half says, "That's the one I should have bought instead." Christopher Ward isn't your typical Swiss luxury watch brand, mostly because it didn't start in Switzerland. It began in 2004 in a boat on the River Thames when 3 British guys decided they could sell high-quality, Swiss-made watches without the usual industry drama, celebrity ambassadors, or $10,000 price tags. No boutiques in Geneva, starting out with no magazine ads with yachts or polo matches. Just honest mechanical watches, sold direct, online. Their plan worked. Today, Christopher Ward builds its watches in Switzerland, but sells straight from its UK headquarters, cutting out the middlemen and avoiding markup and the snobbery. Models like the Trident have built a quiet reputation among collectors and pilots alike. Well-made, technically solid, and refreshingly free of the luxury flex that plagues other brands. It's a watchmaker for people who actually wear their watches, whether that's in the boardroom, in the backcountry, or on the flight deck. Christopher Ward is like that super smart friend who got into Oxford but decided to start a company instead of going into finance. Though the company is headquartered in Maidenhead, England, about a 30-minute tube ride on the Elizabeth line from Paddington Station, these timepieces are assembled in Biel, Switzerland. This gives them legitimate Swiss-made status, but with British design sensibility, often reflected in their clean, slightly understated aesthetics. The first Trident GMT appeared in 2009. The C60 usually gets a quiet nod of respect from watch fans, especially those tired of overpriced, overhyped desk divers and GMT watches that cost as much as a piston engine overhaul. The Trident has built a reputation as the thinking man's Omega. Folks talk a lot about this watch's value for money. The civilian version will set you back a bit over $1,000 US. Swiss movement, ceramic bezel, solid steel case, and sapphire crystal, all for a price more reasonable than Rolex, Tudor, and Omega. Most watch nerds say you'd have to spend twice as much, or more, to get comparable build and finishing. You wear the Rolex for the flex, you wear the CW for the function. Unless you're a collector, the Trident GMT does 90% of the job for less than 10% of the price. Today, Christopher Ward is a brand worn by horology nerds, dive watch fanatics, and people who hate wasting money. The C60 Trident GMT is a great choice for pilots. Not a showpiece, not a flex. Just a good, honest GMT that does what a pilot needs it to do: track multiple time zones and quietly survive the chaos of the job. Now, if you spot one of these in the crew lounge, you'll know. This is Pilot Watch Gouge. Thanks for watching.